Why you must be crazy to succeed. Why you must be crazy to be successful. That is what we're going to talk about today. But, first, please send me your validation so that I can inhale it into my nostrils and down to the depths of my soul. Send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Click the little notification bell. Click it now because it will allow you to get brand new videos the moment they come out. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Use the little heart emoji. Tell everyone you know, including homeless people that you see on the street. No, I'm just kidding about that. That was a little bit too far. Okay, to the topic today. Why you must be crazy to be successful. I love how when you talk to certain people about doing something out of the norm, like starting some crazy business or traveling the world or starting some cool nonprofit organization where you help starving kids in Africa or going on all these adventures, doing all of these things, lifestyle design, whatever you want to call it. I love how people point out the obvious, like it's a real gotcha moment. Like, oh, most people fail at starting businesses. It's not realistic to do things like that. Most people try and fail, blah, blah, blah. Like, duh. It is very obvious and apparent that the statistical odds of pulling off your magical life dream are low. Which is why you have to be a little bit delusional in order to pull it off. You have to be crazy. You have to be kind of a nut job to think that you, of all people, is going to be the person who actually does it. It's really funny. I was watching one of my favorite videos from 50 Cent. And it's this video where he's like standing on a rooftop, just talking his 50 Cent talk, just cursing his butt off, talking about all this crazy, on the one hand, he's talking about some street stuff, then he's talking about the rap game, and then he's talking about kind of a real self-help speech motivational content like he put in this video. And he was like, when I was coming up, people was looking at me crazy. And I was like, you know what? I am crazy. I was crazy enough to think what I said was going to happen would actually happen, which is why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist as I am today. And then he goes on to say, ain't no school for this. Ain't no school for this, stupid. It ain't no school for this. You're going to have to pick up the information as you go. And I love his energy, and I love the way he comes about it, especially like there is no school for this. You cannot look to people as models for how to pull this off because they have not done it. You cannot look to your parents as a model for how to do this. I spend a lot of time disregarding a lot of the advice that my parents have given me. They love me, but I cannot use them as an example of how to pull off some magical dream because they did not do it. I cannot use authority figures, my teachers, a school principal, guidance counselor. They can't teach me. College professor can't teach me how to do this. Actually, no, there was one college professor I had in college, and he was actually a wealthy entrepreneur, and he was kind of giving back by being a professor. Guess what? He had a bunch of open-ended assignments where he wanted you to go out and do things and experiment and tinker, which is what it takes to be successful. Guess what? All the students, except for me, were mad because there was no rubric, there was no set criteria to tell them exactly what to freaking do every second of their school life. And that's how the system works. The education system teaches you not to be innovative, teaches you not to believe in yourself and be daring and bold and delusional and irrationally confident and crazy. No, it teaches you that if there is not a set rubric or guideline telling you exactly how to live your life, then stay away, danger. And that's the world we live in. There's no school for this. There are resources for this, which is why I put videos like this out. I had people that I modeled who were doing the things that I wanted to do. These crazy kind of nut jobs who thought that they could blog for a living. I remember reading this blog post from John Morrow, he was the person who taught me blogging. I learned a lot from his website, smartblogger.com. Crazy thing about John, dude is paralyzed from the neck down, and he dictates all of his writing with his mouth, and he built a multi-million-dollar business. So all your excuses, please throw those out the window. But I remember he wrote this post, and he opened it. He does these really good intros to his posts. And he opened the post with saying, like, dude, people think you're insane. People think you are crazy to think that you could blog for a living. People think you're nuts that you could make a living sitting in your underwear and just write about whatever you want and somehow make money from it. People think you're nuts. And he goes on to say, yeah, you are kind of nuts for wanting to try to do this at all. It's going to be really, really hard. It's going to take a long time. He also told me that it was going to take 4 to 6 years to be able to pull off making a full-time living from blogging. And I was like, you know what? 4 to 6 years, not that long of a time in the grand scheme of things. And wouldn't you know it, like clockwork, in year 5, I was able to quit my job and make a living sitting in my underpants blogging. Even though I actually wear pants while I blog, sometimes I go out in public in coffee shops. They really wouldn't appreciate if I was sitting in my underwear. But I digress. So that's why people like us need to stick together. People who have that delusional sense that they could have more for their life. If you're like me, you've always kind of just smelled something fishy with the way that society operates. You just look around and you're just like, hold on, no. Why are people living like this? This does not seem ideal. Going to work and hating my job every day, that does not seem ideal. Not getting to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with whoever I want, that does not seem ideal. Not being able to fully express myself creatively and put that energy out into the world, that doesn't seem right to me either, right? So you have to maintain that idealism. You have to maintain that delusional sense that for whatever reason, you're going to be the one to pull it off. You know, I got this message actually from reader, and he was like, you know what, Ayo, he's like, I appreciate the work you're doing, but I kind of feel like, you know, you're the one who's becoming successful while most of us who consume your work are not going to become successful. And I can relate to what he's saying 100%. I often have thought about that when I'm creating stuff. I'm like, you know what? Only a small handful of people are actually going to follow through with the information, which is why sometimes I undersell my products and I charge probably less than what I should for that reason. But then I come back to understanding that I'm putting the signal out to the people who are crazy enough to actually pull it off. Like my mentor, John, when he created the course, 95% of the people do not even finish his course because it's very tough. He really puts you through your paces in order to become a top blogger. But I remember back then I was like, you know what? I'm going to graduate from the guest blogging certification program, which is the name of the program, and I'm going to become a top blogger. I told myself that years before it popped off. Guess what? I was crazy enough to think that I could become a top blogger, and I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist as I am today. I'm crazy enough to think that I'm going to start a YouTube channel and blow up. You know how many people start YouTube channels? I don't even know the statistics, but millions of YouTube posts are put up every day. Millions of YouTube videos are published every day. Millions of blog posts are published every day. I was just out in LA not too long ago. Everyone in LA is trying to be an influencer. Everyone's on Instagram. Everyone wants to be an actor. Everyone wants to be an actress. Everyone's a producer, a filmmaker, this or that, right? But I'm going to freaking do it me. And I know that, and I believe that in my soul with certainty. So how do you develop that certainty? I didn't always feel this way. When I first got into writing, like I keep telling you guys, I just dabbled. I had an inclination that I would be good, and fortunately a friend of mine asked me to write. But I started writing and I just never stopped. You need to begin. You know, people are going to think you're crazy. They're going to think you're crazy. But but you slowly chip away and you do the work on your own time. Don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't announce that you're going to be some crazy blogger. Don't announce that you're starting an e-commerce shop. Don't announce that you're going to be an artist. Just start doing it. I know people in all of these industries. I have friends that make a full-time living with their art. I have friends who make a full-time living with their writing. I have friends and colleagues who own marketing agencies. I have friends and colleagues who are YouTubers. Friends and colleagues who are using the power of the internet. Enough friends and colleagues that I know it's something that is doable. And it's, sadly, the thing about it is, in a vacuum, none of this is hard or impossible for anybody to do. Like, if I were to able to somehow unlock your brain and remove your doubts and just let your entire natural talent flourish and give you some battery pack that would allow you to practice as consistently and incessantly as you need to be successful, you could be doing exactly what I'm doing. Or whatever that translates into based on your talents and strengths. You could, but unfortunately you don't live in a vacuum. You do live with a ton of mental chatter in your mind. You do live in a world where your circumstances get in the way and gum up the work. I was just writing a blog post about this. You do have to have a job. You do have to pay for your health insurance. You might have kids. You do have responsibilities. You do have consumer debt. You do have loans. You cannot just up and start this whole business and quit your job from scratch. You have to take baby steps. There are a lot of things stacked against you. So what, dude? What do you want me to tell you? This is the position you're in. And if you want to have those things that you want to have, you just have to tune out the rest of the world and believe that you're going to do it. It's so corny. The idea of believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself and it'll work. But that is the thing. Just believe in yourself. That's all it is. Believe in yourself combined with doing a lot of work. And you'll be surprised at how much better you can get just by doing the work. Go look at my first video. Does this video look better than my first video on my channel? Go look at the first video on my channel. I'm slowly learning habits. I know what the arc of self-improvement looks like, which is why I'm able to stay sane in the process. People can't maintain these sort of delusional and irrational levels of self-confidence because they don't know what the self-improvement arc looks like. What do I mean by the self-improvement arc? I talk about this all the time. The very beginning, you are going to make little to no progress. Little to no progress. The first 90 days, the first 6 months, the first year or two, you're not going to put a major dent into this. Even with YouTube, I goosed my channel a little bit by using my other platform, but still doesn't guarantee that it's going to pop off the way that I want it to. I still have to make a bunch of videos. I still have to learn the nuances of becoming successful. Then what happens after that initial period where it's really, really hard, where most people quit? It just gets much easier. It's much easier to succeed once you break that threshold. And then once you break that threshold, you're able to do it over and over and over again. I'm on the crazy side now, and I realize that the truly crazy choice is to remain in your box, in your job that you hate. What seems pragmatic and realistic is actually sitting on top of a pile of freaking dynamite. One source of income, and a ton of consumer debt, student loans, mortgages, car note. You're putting yourself in a situation where only a couple things need to go south for your life to be ruined. It's kind of the okey-doke trap, okey-doke trick they pulled on you. They've led you to believe that having one source of income and being in a ton of debt is a safe position. It is not safe at all. Ask people in 2008 how safe it was. Ask people whose jobs get phased out overnight and who weren't prepared for it how safe that is. Who's really crazy here? Who's really crazy? Me, someone who's working on creating multiple sources of income. So if one of my incomes shut down overnight, I can do something else. Someone like me who maybe I don't have quote unquote stability and security, meaning that my paychecks don't come in regular intervals, that means I have to stay aware. That means I have to always keep my eye on the prize. There's this, I read somewhere in a book where it's talking about the fact that in areas where there are more street signs, people get into more accidents because they feel safer. And if you go to places like India or the Autobahn and all these crazy places that seem kind of hectic and chaotic and there's a bunch of cars and there's not enough street signs, counterintuitively they get in less accidents because everyone is hyper aware of their surroundings at all times. So join the crazy side, man. Come over. Just start your channel. Please, just start your blog. Just go on LinkedIn. If you want to be a freelancer, go on LinkedIn and send 100 emails to people in your target market. 90% of them will ignore you. 10% of them will be interested. 3 of them will actually have a meeting with you. 1 of them will become your client. And then all you have to do is do that a couple of times over and over again. It seems crazy, but when you look at the math, it's not so simple. Like, take your salary. If you want to be a freelancer, take the salary you make right now and ask yourself how many 1,000 a month retainer clients do you need to have to match that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gotta have a rational self-belief. If you want to be an actor, you want to be a comedian, start putting your videos on YouTube, put them on Instagram. One of my favorite comedians, Haha Davis, he just started putting funny skits on Instagram when he was living in the middle of nowhere. He didn't live in LA. I was talking to my buddy about this. He doesn't live in LA. He lives in Detroit. He lived in Detroit and he still lives there. But he just started shooting videos from his little dingy Detroit apartment and he blew up. And yeah, if you blow up, you are definitely the exception to the rule. That's the entire point. Like, are you guaranteed to succeed? Hell no. But it's worth giving it a shot. You're going to die. So just do it. Do what Steve Jobs said. The people who changed the world, or what did he say? No, he said, the people who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones that actually do. And that guy was a total nut job. Follow in the footsteps of him and other nut jobs and join us on this crazy crusade to build a better life. Okay, real help. Let me grab my new book here. If you want some cold, hard truth into what it takes to be successful, then Real Help is the book for you. Scroll down to the bottom of this description or wherever this link is in the description and buy the book because I told you to buy the book. YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the like button. Please leave your comment, your 2 cents. Please give me my validation. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Join the crazy cult of the successful dream chasers. I will see you on the next video.